So let us take some time now to name those from the cloud of witnesses we hold in our memory and in our hearts. In particular, those who have died in the past year. Our list today is not exhaustive, but includes those people with a Trinity connection that we are aware of at this time. We celebrate and we give thanks for the legacy of faith and love that we inherit from. Edwards had a boisterous laugh, and he liked to joke around. He was a great supporter of family, of community, of his church and his work. He also loved a good bargain, but may not have saved much money that way because he was forever buying things on sale to share. Peggy Rushton had a very strong work ethic. Her family was the most important thing to her. She raised 6 children and was famous for her roast beef dinner. Edna Kane was a hairdresser, worked in various retail positions. She was an active member of McGregor United Church before she moved to Portage. She liked cooking and baking and sewing and knitting items for her grandchildren and others. Anna Marie Brown was involved in her community, serving on boards for organizations from the Women's Shelter to the Herman Pryor Center, from United Way to Big Brothers Big Sisters, from the church to the Portage Refugee Coalition. She loved working as an instructor for the healthcare aid program. Art Klassen sang in the Trinity choir for many years, was an anchor for the bass section. He used to say that he was smitten with Mary from the first time he laid eyes on her at a baseball tournament when he was the coach for the opposing team. Judy Archibald loved being part of the community on Rowe Street. She made good friends there. She particularly enjoyed getting her treats ready on Halloween, seeing the neighborhood children in their costumes. Dennis Roy worked construction most of his life in some form or other. He put in a lot of hours. Still, he never minded driving all over the province to attend a hockey or a ringette game. He was a quiet man with a cheeky sense of humor. Jean Finney was charming and a very unadventurous eater. She was often reluctant to taste anything new, like purple carrots. A proud grandmother, she was an excellent storyteller, and she mystified the healthcare system by living with cancer far longer than should have been possible. Joyce Rutter was a nurse who delighted in the number of babies who were born under her care. She was very active for most of her 98 years in the church, in community, and on the golf course. Her driver was a professor of agricultural economics. And then he took early retirement to live his dream of actually being a farmer. Musical, he played the saxophone, the piano, and the clarinet. Donald Blight was known as Ding for most of his life. Despite contracting polio when he was 12, he was an excellent athlete, inducted into both the Manitoba Baseball and Hockey Halls of Fame. He also enjoyed golf, and he picked up downhill skiing when he was 50. Jerry Samuels loved to entertain people, and everyone was welcome in his home. He took great care with his home and his yard, and he loved decorating outside at Christmas Usually waited until the coldest days to start, though. And decorations got added and added and added until the fuses were popping and the lights and appliances were going out in the house. Cynthia Jordan was known affectionately by her family as Santy. She used her bookkeeping skills at the farm and for the UCW. She liked sewing, she liked keeping the yard, taking trips to the ocean, and really making friends with people of many ages. She treasured relationships. Jerry Johnson liked to talk and share a laugh. Jerry liked taking fishing excursions with good friends and cheering on the Jets. Woodworking was a cherished pastime, and one of his last projects was to make candlesticks for the Trinity communion table. Dick Street's interests were many and varied. He loved collecting things. He liked greeting people as a church usher. He enjoyed bowling and reading and music and pool and playing bridge and drawing and painting. Dallas Denslow was a plumber for 37 years before retiring to the family farm. And although he enjoyed hunting and fishing, he was a great advocate for the conservation of wildlife. He'd frequently feed deer on his property and provide them with a safe haven. Lori Nicholson spent most of her life in Dryden, but moved to Portage in 2014. She enjoyed visiting on behalf of the church. She spent countless hours volunteering for various charitable organizations. She liked winters in California and summers with the family at Blue Lake Cottage. For Brenda Asham, work was never simply a job. Those she worked with at MDC or New Directions became family. She gave 100% to whatever she did, particularly as a mother and a grandmother. Her favorite color was orange. She was always there to help someone in need. Gordy Fraser was raised on the family farm in Oakland, but his love of the outdoors called him to Hay River. He loved his life there and especially enjoyed hunting and fishing. He loved his family and took great pride in them. He was hardworking and had a great sense of humor. Debbie Mills faced a lot of struggle in her life, but she was a proud parent and deeply loved her grandchildren. Al Cutler grew up in Portage, but was also a firefighter in Calgary for 35 years. He retired as fire captain. He enjoyed and traveled many distances with his motorhome. Al was committed to a life of service and lived life to the fullest. Wilma Plenty said, "Do the best you can with what you have." She took her roles in life very seriously. Employment at Eaton's for 27 years and then at CFB Portage, her volunteer commitments to the Army, Navy, Air Force veterans, and her care and her support for her child and elderly parents in a time when single parents were not that common. Freda Fraser celebrated her 100th birthday during the pandemic, and she spent it on the phone, connecting with countless well-wishers. Freda was a dedicated member of the UCW, an OR nurse, and respected by everyone who knew her. Bob Boyachik was a farmer who loved his cattle. and was there for all who needed him. He was quiet, patient, practical, and liked to dance. And unlike many who do so in their teens, he was confirmed into church membership in his 60s. We know there are others who might have been named, who live in your hearts even now. We thank God for the saints we have known and loved. We thank God for all the saints who have gone before us.